Henry Ford's invention of the assembly line revolutionized manufacturing, making cars and other products more affordable and accessible. While his business ideas shaped the future of American commerce, Ford also held controversial beliefs and practices. He was a notorious racist and anti-Semite, refusing to promote Jewish or minority workers, and used his private security force to prevent unions from forming in his factories. This anti-union stance contributed to the decline of union membership across the United States. Additionally, Ford lobbied cities to eliminate public streetcar systems, preferring people to purchase cars instead of using public transportation. His company encouraged states to construct paved roads for automobiles. As the road network expanded, streetcars were phased out. Over time, cities became increasingly dependent on cars. Progressing to the present day, the United States remains heavily reliant on cars. For decades, urban design has prioritized cars, largely due to Ford's efforts. Public transit in many cities has struggled to maintain pace. Despite environmental and efficiency concerns, America's affinity for cars continues to this day. Coca-Cola was created in 1886 by Dr. John Stiff Pemberton. The drink became very popular, and in 1888, Pemberton filed to incorporate the Coca-Cola Company. Sadly, he passed away just 5 months later, but his creation endured. Today, Coca-Cola is one of the world's largest brands. Pemberton was highly respected in Atlanta, and at his funeral, he was remembered as a respected citizen. Coca-Cola was seen as a special drink with supposed medicinal properties. Over time, it became the leading soft drink globally. However, Pemberton's legacy has faced challenges in recent times. Many studies have linked soda consumption to obesity. The Coca-Cola Company has tried to improve its image, but it has faced criticism, such as accusations of influencing obesity policies in China to encourage children to drink soda. In America, health experts are concerned that Coca-Cola's aggressive marketing has contributed to rising obesity rates among young people, and the situation is even more serious in Mexico. That nation has the highest mortality rate from persistent diseases linked to excessive sugar intake. While health authorities keep emphasizing the issue of soda consumption and its complex connection with health issues, Coca-Cola remains under scrutiny for its extensive presence. Undoubtedly, Pemberton never anticipated his beverage would spark such debates, particularly one still ongoing over a century later. Nancy Reagan became the United States' first woman within the 80s and possibly nice acknowledged for her robust stance against drugs. Her "Simply Say No" campaign changed into famous at the time. It became heard by millions of teenagers all over the US. A few humans cherished the message, however others thought it was lots too simplistic. Or even now, a decade after her demise in 2016, Nancy's legacy remains tied to this anti-drug campaign. While many praised her for being a hero in the fight against pills, her popularity has on account that end up extra controversial. For one, fitness experts now say her method became too fundamental. She pushed for abstinence most effective, and that coverage was a problem as it omitted the complexities of dependency. By way of framing drug use as a choice, it made those struggling with dependency experience like screw-ups. In turn, it made the restoration landscape tons tougher for them who are seeking assist. Nancy and her husband's push for tough drug legal guidelines additionally had serious coverage consequences. Their warfare on pills caused the spending of greater than $1 trillion with little tangible, direct success to show for it. It additionally led to mass incarceration, which locked lots of human beings in jail for drug-associated and nonviolent offenses. Via all of it, drugs still stay a large trouble inside the America. Even today, many conservative corporations nonetheless guide Nancy's tough stance on tablets. Alas, this attention on zero-tolerance policies has prevented extra modern and effective remedy alternatives from being explored. As an end result, the U.S. stays within the grip of considered one of its worst drug epidemics. To that give up, Nancy's many years old thoughts are still influencing drug coverage. However, it isn't always constantly for the better, and the drug crisis persists without an end in sight. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is a big name in the world of grief. Most memorably, she introduced the 5 stages of grief: denial, wrathfulness, log-rolling, depression, and acceptance. These stages were meant to guide people through terrible moments, including trauma, death, and loss. In her career, Kubler-Ross frequently talked about death and what it means. In her 1997 autobiography, for illustration, she participated her belief that death can actually be a profound experience. I always say that death can be one of the topmost jests ever. However, also you have nothing to sweat if you live each day of your life right. Naturally, a lot of people really connected with this idea and embraced her work. But then's where effects get tricky. Since Kubler-Ross herself passed down back in 2004, numerous people have begun to question her propositions. Specifically, numerous people have misconstrued and misemployed numerous of her ideas. See, she actually developed the 5 stages after canvassing people facing terminal ails. These folks participated their trip from denial to acceptance of their own deaths. But her work wasn't meant to explain how we suffer for other people. Rather, it was explicitly intended to be wisdom meant for those facing down their own mortality. And life seems to have caught up with that shattered character for the late expert. For illustration, a study from McGill University in 2002 set up that only about 11 of people actually suffer the way Kubler-Ross described. More lately, some therapists have dumped her model altogether because it just doesn't feel to work with their cases. Therefore, the 5 stages of grief are starting to fade down in ultramodern remedy. Nearly 20 times after Kubler-Ross's death, her heritage still sparks debate in the internal health world. Grief is much more complicated than a simple roster, and her heritage has now come a complicated bone. Quote, the Westboro Baptist Church is infamous for being extreme. They were so severe that the Southern Poverty Law Center calls them a hate organization. First based through Fred Phelps in 1955, the church is notorious for its harsh anti-LGBT views. They made a call for themselves through picketing over 40,000 occasions around America. In fact, you in all likelihood realize a number of their maximum surprising claims, like while their fans claim the September 11th terror assaults have been punishment for America as terrible sins, the church ISN very massive, and that is more often than not due to the fact it is so divisive. Phelps commenced it with own circle of relatives individuals, and for a protracted time, quite an awful lot the best individuals have been from the Phelps clan. Some have considering the fact that left, particularly after Fred passed away in 2014. But folks who caught round are nonetheless pushing his abnormal agenda. Even 11, though they've been banned from international locations just like the United Kingdom and Canada, the WBC refuses to lower back down. These days, maximum Americans are horrified through the Phelps' own circle of relatives and their small organization of fans. Most humans see them as an erroneous cult. Documentaries have even been made approximately them, with filmmakers journeying their Kansas compound. But regardless of their shrinking numbers, Fred's legacy of hate continues to be alive. The WBC jumps into each massive debate, way to information insurance and social media. After almost 70 years, they in some way extra well-known than ever, despite the fact that maximum oldsters can stand them. Ironically, Fred Phelps can be one of the few those who has virtually introduced Americans together, in opposition to him.